Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a further more explanation of our project details, Transport Services LLM. First talking about the main components of the solution, broadly dividing it into four categories. We have user interface, backend services, database, and API. Talking about our solution, it consists of four main components for the chatbot, obviously, which will handle the user interactions. The backend server, the main, which is responsible for all the data processing and also the business logic as well, and for storing all the information which is stored, or all the information of the user as well. It's taken care by the database. And the user interface, as we know it, it's a place like it's a thing where user will interact with the chatbot. Talking about the generalized overview of the components, we have data processing, we have text splitting, then we go with embedding creations, and the vector database, query handling, and answer generation as the final output. Talking about the tech stack of our project, for front end, for the website, for front end we use React.js. For back end we use Node.js and Express.js, and for database MongoDB. Talking about for performing various NLP tasks, we use transformer, we use sentence transformer, we use FAISS, Facebook library for similarity search as well, and then we use LangChain. We use different data sets from the government, Matplotlib and Pandas as well for visualization and manipulation. And for progress visualization, we use TQDM as well. And also for AIML, Hugging Face Transformers, where we get all these libraries from, and PyTorch as well. For deployment, we are using GitHub Actions for further process. Talking about the underlying data structures of our project, we use raw data, vector databases, chunks, and documents. In a classical way of explaining the data structures, there are three types of them: user data, service data, and chat logs as well. So these chatbot will manage several types of data, broadly classified as a user data, service data, and chat logs. User data contains all the information about the users and their interaction history. Service data, on the other hand, contains the details about the various services, procedures, and forms as well. And chat logs, it records the information between the user and the chatbot. Talking about the workflow, there is a certain step-by-step workflow. So basically, whenever there is a user query from the user, the chatbot takes it and sends it to the backend server. Now, the database is a place where it contains all the relevant information, and data is fetched by the backend server and is given to the chatbot and is further sent to the user interface to the user. And these are broadly classified workflow, which are user interaction, NLP processing, query handling, response generation, and as well as data storage. Talking, these are the first, like the proper things which I have done till now is first loading of the data set, and then we split the documents into chunks, different chunks. Now from those chunks we create embeddings using model, and for that we are using GT small model for our embedding creations, and then we use the index embeddings, which stores the embeddings in FAISS index, and handling the user query and generating the proper answer based on the query. Talking about the different roles in the app, we have broadly admin and user, and also there are developer, tester, and many roles as well. Talking about the communication between components, the AI chatbot interacts with the user and sends requests to the backend server, so to fetch the proper required data from the backend server. And then the server processes these requests, queries the database if needed to get any relevant information, and then it sends back the appropriate response from the chatbot. Talking about the interface to be developed, we have two interfaces broadly classified as user interface and API interface. For user interface, we have chatbot UI and admin dashboard, which are to be made. And talking about the API interfaces, we use RESTful APIs for data communication. So to in short, what we are doing about the interfaces to be developed is we'll develop a chatbot user interface for user to interact with, and admin dashboard for managing services. Additionally, talking about the RESTful APIs, it is used for communication between the front end and back end in short. Talking about the datasets, all the datasets are taken from the government websites. All the information related to driving license data, registration info, permits, and tax information. And talking about the data processing, NLP processing, data cleaning, and data validation as well. There's a small code which is displaying the answer generation by using auto tokenizer and auto model for casual LM as well. Where it's using a pipeline to check all the proper things and generate the output as well from the model, which is GT small, which I mentioned earlier. Talking about the input and output screens. Input screens are nothing but the chat input screens which are used for user queries, and output screens are the chatbot responses which is provided to the user, and the service information display which keeps on upgrading as soon as the new information keeps updated. The users will input their queries through chat information, and the output screens will display the responses from the chatbot, including all the services. Talking about the business logic way, there is a specific for if talking about specific business logic, it is used for license validation, service eligibility checks, and also for response generation. And as I said earlier, for source of information, we are using all the government regulation, transport department guidelines. So, in conclusion, the main aim of our project is to enhance the user experience by providing an efficient way to retrieve all the transport services information time to time. All these things are done using AI and modern technology. As I said earlier, we are using different Python libraries and also many Hugging Face libraries as well. We hope to make the accessing transport services for the user much more easier and faster for the users. So for that we are working. Thank you.